Hello home bosses, my name is Nuria Korbi from thehomeboss.com. Welcome to my channel, which is all about helping you to create an income online from self-publishing. So 3 years ago, I made a video called The Truth About Amazon KDP, and it fast became my most watched video on this platform. In the video, I talked about some of the big mistakes that people make on Amazon, especially people that create low content books. Fast forward to today, and people are still making the same kind of mistakes, even though the platform has changed quite a lot since then, and people are falling into the same traps. And we can see it all the time, people posting on Facebook that their accounts have been shut down or that their books have been blocked. And this is what happens when you don't follow Amazon's guidelines to the letter. You really have to read through them. There is a lot of information in the guidelines, and people are either not reading them or just not following them and making mistakes. And I hope that this video will kind of guide you in the right direction, because I don't want you to lose your account and I don't want your books being blocked. I want you to be successful on Amazon KDP, because that is ultimately why we're on this platform, and it's absolutely possible to make an income from Amazon KDP, but you have to do it the right way. So in this video, I want to dive into what not to do on Amazon KDP, and also a little bit about the mindset, because I think that some people are going into this with the wrong mindset, and that is because we're used to a wrong mindset. We're used to doing things in a certain way, and then we kind of apply this to Amazon KDP as well, and that's not how it works. So make sure you follow the rules, and we're going to dive into it in this video. So the first mistake that people make is that they're chasing quick wins instead of long-term success, and a quick win isn't really what's going to make you successful. So you can't just decide to put a load of books on Amazon KDP and hope that that will give you a quick income. It's not a business where you can make money very quickly. This is not what Amazon KDP is. It does take time. It does take persistence. It takes a lot of work, and that is how you're going to win at this game. You're not going to win by putting hundreds of books out there that are the same as the other books that are already on Amazon. And I see this quite a lot. I see people making books that are exactly like the kind of books that are already on Amazon. They see that maybe a logbook is making a lot of money, and they produce the same type of logbook and hope to get a quick win. And that's not how this works. So instead of concentrating on making quick wins, you have to concentrate on long-term success. To see real success, you have to put in the time, effort, resources, and the whole work to be able to see a result. You can't expect this business to suddenly work without doing that. And that is unfortunately a mindset that I see very often on Amazon. And people say, oh, I've created 3 low content books and I'm not getting any sales. That is because it doesn't work like that. It doesn't produce money without you putting a lot of effort in first. You have to do your research. You have to find out what kind of books are selling, and then you have to make books that are not the same kind of books. So when you see that a book is selling really well, don't copy that book. It's another thing that I see very often. And people say, well, I'm not copying it. I've made a different cover and I've made a different interior. But you are copying it because you are copying the idea too closely to what it is. If you're going to copy a book, you can copy the idea, but you have to really make it your own. You have to create something that adds something to the original, or maybe have a look at the feedback that book has and see if people suggest something that they would like included in that book, and then you can include that. Or maybe they say, yes, I like this book, but there is something missing. I would like to have this in the book as well. So you can really find out from looking at other books' reviews how you should create your own book in that niche. It needs to be different to what is already out there. So don't chase a quick win over long-term success. Put in the work and really think long-term. The second mistake I see quite a lot is that people still make quantity over quality. That doesn't work either. You can't put up hundreds of books and then think that is going to help with your sales. Quantity does come into it because you have to have a certain amount of books for it to kind of catch on, and for you to find the kind of book that works for you. But it's not a question of making a lot of books and then hoping that one or two will sell. That's also not how it works. And I see that a lot with low content books. People think that by making hundreds of low content books, one or two will start selling, and they're planning on this quantity thing to bring them success. And that doesn't work. It's much better to make fewer books, but make them really high quality. They might take longer to make. It doesn't really matter. If a book takes you 3 months to make, but then is a seller, it's really worth investing those 3 months. It's better than making tens of books that you can make within a few hours and then those don't sell. And you've wasted those few hours. Whereas a good quality book, even if it takes you longer to make, if that is going to provide you an income, it's definitely worth investing your time in it. So there are still a lot of people that think that putting a load of junk onto Amazon is going to create a business for them. That is not the mindset that you need to have. You need to create quality books, put them up there, because Amazon sees low quality books as spam, and they're just going to not be seen by customers, or worse, they could shut down your account and just tell you that you're creating a disappointing experience for your customers. And that is a sure way to get your Amazon account closed. Another mistake that I see is that people are afraid of investing in ads. Now, that's not necessarily a fear of investing in ads. Sometimes we just haven't got the budget to invest in ads. So it depends on your situation. But if you have the budget, investing in ads is the best thing you can do to improve your sales, because you have to market your books. You can't put out books on Amazon and then not do any marketing. It used to be the case that you could do that, and even low content books were selling at one time without any promotion, without any marketing. But nowadays that is more difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is still possible if your book is really good, but it's getting really difficult to sell your books on Amazon without some kind of promotion. Amazon ads is the quickest way, but it costs money. The long game would be to do promotions on your social media accounts and getting a following together for your business. And that takes time. So you can either do it the quick way by spending on ads, and that takes no time at all, but it takes money, or you can promote on social media, which takes a lot of time, but it doesn't take your money. So it's one or the other, but you do have to do some kind of marketing for your books. And some people are afraid of investing in those ads. And to run any business, you have to invest. Unfortunately, that is just how things work, how the business world works. You do have to invest. And when you think about it, this business, this Amazon KDP business, has a lot of advantages, because first of all, it's free to list your books on Amazon. You don't have to pay for that. And that is the opposite of a lot of other businesses, because when you have a shop online, or you sell on eBay, or you sell on as Amazon FBA, or on any website, you do have to pay to list your items, and then you have to pay anyway to advertise it, because otherwise people wouldn't see your business. So you have to do that. If you have a Shopify shop or you have your own website, you do have to invest in getting seen. And if you are running a business on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, you have to pay fees to those companies. So either way you end up paying. And with Amazon KDP, that part of it is totally free. So you're on a winner there already, but you do have to invest in other things. And one of them is maybe advertising, or maybe invest your time in social media promotion, or even off-site ads like Facebook ads, that works sometimes as well. So there is a lot of ways you can invest in your business, and you shouldn't be afraid of that. I know that at the beginning you might not be able to do that because you haven't got the budget, and then you use the time you spend on your business as a time investment. And that is what I did when I first started. I didn't have the budget to advertise, but I just invested my time in promoting my books on my social media pages, and that is the other way you can do it. And then when you start selling a few books, I reinvested all of my money into the business. I didn't take any money out of the business for myself for quite a long time. I reinvested it in ads and in other ways to advertise. So that is the way to do it. Don't be afraid to invest in your business, because that is the only way you're going to get more out of it. And any business does that. If you're running a business, you do have to put in money as well as taking money out, and that comes after you put money in. So unfortunately, that is the reality of running a business. You have to promote your books. And another mistake I often see people make is that they are avoiding competition. Everybody's looking for this secret niche that nobody knows about, and they're going to make a killing in that niche. And that's, again, not how it works. Whenever people are telling you there's a secret niche, forget it. There is no secret niche. And as soon as they tell people that there is a secret niche, that means it's not secret any longer. So you mustn't be afraid of competition, because competition means, or high competition means, that there's high demand as well most of the time. So you do have to do a little bit of research and make sure that you're not in a niche that is too competitive, but you shouldn't avoid competition altogether. You mustn't be searching for that fantastical, magical niche that doesn't exist, because where the money is really where the demand is. And they don't tend to be secret niches. They just tend to be high demand niches. So you have to look out for them, and they are usually competitive. They are niches where there is a lot of competition, but that doesn't mean that you can't stand out in those niches. So what you have to do to compete in those niches is to make a better product than is already out there. So that means that you can't just copy a book that is already selling very well, because you have to compete with their feedback, with their ratings. Their sales rank is obviously ranking that book higher, but you can still compete with them if you're making a book that is outstanding, that is better than the books that are already there. And I told you earlier on that you can have a look at the feedback from those books and see if there's anything in there that that book is lacking that you can incorporate in your own book. And the other thing is to advertise heavily. So that is how do you break into those niches, and they are definitely the better niches. It's not about finding a niche with low competition. It's about creating a book that stands out in a niche that is competitive. Those are the magical niches, because once you can do that, that's when you really get a successful book. Another mistake I see people make very often is that they expect instant results. They think that because they have published a book, that book will immediately sell, and that is not the case. And I'm sure we have all been there. We've made books that don't sell at all, or books that don't sell for quite a while and then they start selling. So I've been through the whole spectrum of that. I've had books that never sell. I've had books that sell after a while. And in very rare cases, I've had books that sell immediately. That is very rare. That hardly ever happens. And you can't go in with that expectation. You have to go in with the expectation that your book might not sell at all, or your book will be slow in selling. And what can you do to get those sales? That is the expectation that you have to go in with. So recognize that success takes time and that you can't go in there and win immediately. You just have to learn how this all works. You have to create your books and learn from each book that you create. You know, if a book is not selling, there is a reason why it's not selling, and you're learning and finding out over time. It's not immediate. if you are really lucky and you create a book and it starts selling immediately, you've hit the jackpot. That is not the norm. That is not what usually happens. But obviously you've done something right, and then you can capitalize on that and recreate that for your next book. But in most cases, it just takes time to learn that. And that leads us to another mistake that I see people making, is that they don't learn from their mistakes. They're not willing to improve. They are creating the same type of books over and over, and then they wonder why they're not selling. You need to learn from your books, from the mistakes that you're making. If your book isn't selling, try and analyze why that is. Why is your book not selling? Did you make it in a niche where the competition is so big and you have not made a book that stands out? Maybe your cover isn't good enough. Maybe your book's interior isn't great. There is always a reason why a book doesn't sell very well. And it's usually because it gets lost in all of the other books on Amazon. And you need your book to rise above all the others. And the most important thing for that is obviously the cover. The cover is very important because it's the first thing that people see. But it's also the content, of course, because people need to feel that they have invested in a book that is bringing them some kind of benefit. There is usually a reason why people buy books, and we sometimes forget that. We start creating books and we forget that this is something, we're making something for an actual person that is looking for a solution to a problem. So when we're making logbooks, we're making them to solve a problem for someone. When we're making journals, we're making them to solve a problem for someone. What is that problem? What are we doing to help those people? That's how you have to think of it, because you have to make a book that people are really glad they bought, and then they recommend it to other people. And this is how you get the ball rolling and how you start getting more sales. And because when you're making sales, Amazon pushes your book up in the rankings as well. So it's a snowball effect and your book will sell even more. So you really have to think about that. You really have to improve your books and be willing to improve your books. You know, sometimes that means that you might have to forget about a book and unpublish it and just create a new book, or maybe not unpublish it, but just create another book that is better than that one. And you have to learn from your mistakes and listen to feedback, listen to what other people are saying about your books. Sometimes people see negative feedback as a bad thing, but sometimes it actually is a good thing because it's showing you how you should improve your books. So don't look at it as a negative. Whatever negatives come your way, use them to propel you forward. Use them as fuel to get you that bit further. That's what I always do. If I get any negative feedback from any of my books that I've published or from my YouTube videos that I make, I take that to be my fuel, and it just propels me further, and I make changes. I try to improve. So you have to be willing to improve, and that is another mistake I see people make, that they're not that willing to listen to what they should be doing, and they start giving up. And of course, once you give up, that's it. Then you really can't hope for success. So usually people that are successful because they haven't given up. And that is how simple it really is at the end of the day. And another mistake I see people make as well is that they're ignoring market research. And I shouldn't really be saying this because I sometimes don't make any research. Shh, don't tell anyone. But sometimes I just make books that I want to make and that I enjoy making. And for some reason that seems to be working for me. But you should always do some sort of research. And the most important research, in my opinion, is that you have to research whether there is demand for such a book. Because if there is no demand, it doesn't matter what you create, people aren't going to buy it. So that is the first thing that you need to look at. And funnily enough, the books that have a lot of demand are the ones in the competitive niches. So this is why I told you earlier not to be afraid of competition, because that means there is demand. And to me, that is still the most important part of the research, to check that there is demand. So all of these things are really about your mindset, because you kind of have to shift a little bit. We're not really built this way to go into competitive niches. We're not really, it doesn't come naturally somehow, you know, and sometimes you have to kind of go against what comes naturally, and you have to change it into let your logic take over. You know, you have to make books that are in demand. You have to make books that are different from other books. And of course, that is more difficult. And we tend to shy away from things that are more difficult. We tend to want things to be easy. Who doesn't want it to be easy and be successful? But it's not how things work. This is just life. Life isn't all that easy, and you have to put in a lot of hard work if you want to be successful. But the good news is that you can absolutely do it, and I'm here to help you with that. So if you want to go onto my Home Boss group, Facebook group, then you're very welcome there, and we all help each other. And this is one way that we can at least support each other, because this isn't easy. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And I don't think most of you expect it to be that. I think that most people go into it with the right mindset and are working really hard at it. But the ones that are going into it with the wrong mindset are the ones that stand out, because they're the ones that post in the Facebook groups and say they're not being successful, or they've had their books blocked, or they've had their accounts terminated. And it's such a shame, because with the right mindset, this wouldn't happen. And the other thing that I really need to remind people is to go through the Amazon guidelines. That is absolutely necessary, especially when Amazon are changing so often. They make all these changes, and sometimes we don't even know they've made the changes, and you could easily make a mistake without intending to make a mistake, and just, you know, that's why it's a mistake. It's just not what you wanted to do, but you didn't know about a new rule that has come out. So it's really good to keep yourself informed and stay up to date with Amazon's guidelines. And that is probably the best tip I can give everybody, you know, to follow the guidelines to the letter, because that is how most accounts run into trouble. So I encourage you to be patient, persistent, and focused. Those are the three things that are really important for this business. And I wonder what experiences you have had, and what kind of tips would you give other people that are in KDP? Maybe they're new to KDP, or even for people that have already been doing it for a while. What are your top tips? I would say I'd be really interested in hearing them. So if you don't mind, leave them below in the comments. Let's see what we all think about this. And I hope you enjoyed this video as well. I know it's kind of a repeat from the last one, but it's an update. It's for 2024, and I'm sure next year there'll be more changes that Amazon makes, so we have to keep up to date with everything. And at least think about what I said. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm sure there's all sorts of opinions about this, but I hope for most of you this has been a helpful video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I nearly forgot, I have got a branding course out at the moment, and it walks you through all the steps you need to do to create a brand. And it was on offer till last Thursday, but I've decided to extend the promotion. So at the moment it's $50 off the normal price. Normally it's $147, and you can now get it for $97. And that is a course that I really recommend if you want to create a business in Amazon KDP, not just publish a few books here and there, but you want to create a brand. And that is what helped me really increase my sales. So I'm hoping that's interesting to you, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.